Let's read from Gowon. Biafra Civil War. There was nothing like Biafra Civil War. It was Biafra genocide because bombardment of schools, markets, churches, IDP camp, hospitals is never a war. Let's read from Gowon. Biafra Civil War. There was nothing like Biafra Civil War. It was Biafra genocide because bombardment of schools, markets, churches, IDP camp, hospitals is never a war. It is a genocide. A land and sea blockade is never a war, a genocide. But let us read from Gowon, then we analyze. Don't forget that this is Homeland Radio Biafra presentation from me, Fearless IPOB Evangelist Maze Marachunwachuku. In case you don't know, I'm from Ndiabo, Adiamakwama. Thank you. We move. So, Biafra Civil War, there is nothing like war. It was a genocide. But let's continue. Most difficult period of my life, Gowon, he was even saying there that the only option for him was to kill Biafrans. Okay, the network is bad. We'll manage it too. Gowon said that he did this thing to the people of the East, especially the Igbos, because that was the only option to unite Nigeria. He did this for... Okay, we'll continue. So now, the question to Gowon is, was the Aburi Accord agreement for the division of Nigeria? Was the Aburi Accord agreement for Biafra independence? So, what was the agreement all about? It is like restructuring. So, who upturned the Aburi Accord agreement? Because you cannot jump into what happened by not telling the world if Ojukwu and you went to Ghana to divide Nigeria. It wasn't division of Nigeria. So what led to the killings of our people to unite Nigeria?
So let me just explain to you the sole aim of why they buy the Igbos. This is their sole aim. Now, when they came for that meeting in Ghana, both Gowon, Ojukwu, and the president of Ghana, when they went to Ghana to, for that meeting was for peace, was for one Nigeria. They never in any way spoke about division of Nigeria. No, they never spoke that, Igbos, or it was not brought to the table that, there'll be division of Nigeria. All they said was, for Nigeria to be at, in peace. They wanted one Nigeria. The Ojukwu was present. That will show you that, even the Igbos wanted one Nigeria. The Igbos wanted one Nigeria. So what later happened? No, after the meeting, Ojukwu came back to his country. He came back to Lagos, Nigeria, and then changed it, went against the plan, went against the agreement, and then started buying the Igbos. Now, why did he change his plan? Let's know that the colonial master, sorry, they never wanted to give. One thing that the Aburi Accord will give the Igbos is security. And because of they never wanted, Igbos to have security, because their resources is more important. That's their sole aim. Their sole aim was for their resources. So for them not to have security, they did not want the colonial masters were against giving the Igbos security because of their resources. So for them not to have security, or their sole aim now was to buy the whole Igbos so that they can have access to their resources. You don't want Igbos to get into power, but you want to use their resources. This is wickedness. This is wickedness. So that was why Gowon went out of plan, out of the agreement. He did not keep the agreement, and then started buying. About 5 million souls lost their life in that war, that genocide. It's not even a war, it's genocide, because they buyed many innocent people, bombarded churches, bombarded schools, bombarded, in Igbo land, people lost their life. People lost their life because of that incident, because of the decisions of Gowon, because he collided with the colonial, collaborated with the colonial masters just for the resources of the Igbos. Now, reading on, it says Gowon explained that he prosecuted the civil war due to urgency to preserve national unity. Gowon cannot come out and be lying. He should come out and confess, tell us what truly happened. You cannot say you killed the Igbos because of national unity. That's not national unity. It's not called killing. It's not unity. If you're killing, you're bringing more problem. So you should not come and tell us that buying the Igbos was the only option to preserve national unity. No. Okay, now what is the reason? After buying the Igbos, what has happened? What's the outcome? How is Nigeria today? Is Nigeria united? Nigeria is not united. So what is the essence? I ask myself today, what is the importance of that Aburi Accord? What's the use? Because I don't know why they meet to an agreement. And so what is the essence of coming to make that meeting, or coming to attend that meeting? It was not of me. It is not of any use now. If you check it, because after the meeting was for peace, and then Gowon upturned the agreement and buyed the Igbos, buyed about 5 million Igbos. Now let's read on. It says the former Nigerian ruler called for forgiveness, reconciliation, and unity across faiths and ethnicities. Reading on, it also said, I always remember the Civil War. This is what Gowon said. I always remember the Civil War. It was the most difficult period of my life. It was not my choice, but I had to be there and had to do what I did in order to keep this country together. You buy the Igbos to keep the country together. That means Igbo is not part of Nigeria. Yes. If Gowon can be coming out today to tell us that he bought the Igbos to keep Nigeria, then Igbos, they are not part of Nigeria. They should just go and divide this country and allow the Igbos to go. That's just the truth. You cannot be killing the Igbo, you cannot kill the Igbos to say you want, you are uniting Nigeria. It's not sounding right. How does killing have to do with unity? Please, you're buying the Igbos and you're uniting Nigeria. That's to say that Igbos are not part of Nigeria. The Igbos are Biafran. So therefore, they should, allow Biafra to come to a reality. They should allow Biafra to come to a reality because him has used his mouth to say they molested the Igbos. So it was never a hatred against any people. I can assure you, reflecting on life after that period, the former head of state stressed that his decisions had often been guided by prayers and a desire to act with integrity and compassion. As far as this heart is concerned, everything that I do, it is though prayers. It is true prayer. Sorry. I ask God to help me to do the right things the way He thinks it should be done, with love and respect for all the people. Gowon is just blabbing. The truth is that he should come and confess. The way he confessed that Babangida, whatever they did, what the rigging of the election, there was a time that he confessed that they rigged an election. That's the same way he should also come out to tell Nigerians why he killed the Igbos during the civil war, why that thing happened, because it's not even a good sin at all. Honestly, 5 million people lost their life over nothing. Now many people have been reacting to this. Before I show you the reaction of people, take a look at what this man said.
Let's read from Gowon. Biafra Civil War. There was nothing like Biafra Civil War. It was Biafra genocide because bombardment of schools, markets, churches, IDP camp, hospitals is never a war. It is a genocide. A land and sea blockade is never a war, a genocide. But let us read from Gowon, then we analyze. Don't forget that this is Homeland Radio Biafra presentation from me, Fearless IPOB Evangelist Maze Maratunwachuku. In case you don't know, I'm from Ndiabo, Adiamakwama. Thank you. We move. So, Biafra Civil War, there is nothing like war. It was a genocide. But let's continue. Most difficult period of my life, Gowon, he was even saying there that the only option for him was to kill Biafrans. Okay, the network is bad. We'll manage it too. Gowon said that he did this thing to the people of the East, especially the Igbos, because that was the only option to unite Nigeria. He did this for... Okay, we'll continue. So now, the question to Gowon is, was the Aburi Accord agreement for the division of Nigeria? Was the Aburi Accord agreement for Biafra independence? So, what was the agreement all about? It is like restructuring. So, who upturned the Aburi Accord agreement? Because you cannot jump into what happened by not telling the world if Ojukwu and you went to Ghana to divide Nigeria. It wasn't division of Nigeria. So what led to the killings of our people to unite Nigeria?
So, guys, according to what that man said, he said, what led to the killings of the Igbos to unite Nigeria? It doesn't even make sense at all. You're killing the Igbos and at the same time, you're uniting Nigeria. This shows that Igbos are not even part of Nigeria. If he actually knows what he's saying, that means, they should just declare Biafra, let the Igbos go, since they prefer buying the Igbos to unite Yoruba, Hausa, and the rest, leaving Igbos behind. You see that Igbos were truly molested, they were dealt with. 5 million Igbos lost their life. And today, these people that lost their life are still haunting Nigeria, people that killed them. People are saying that Gowon is fighting with guilty conscience. That is why he's coming out to blab, he should just come and stop beating around the bush. He should come out and tell Nigerians and confess to Nigerians the way he confessed about the rigging of the election. He should come out and confess to Nigerians why he buy the Igbos. Now, let's look at some reactions from people because this caused controversy. People were lambasting him for making that statement. So reading on, it says, how can you claim the Biafran war was for unity and not hatred when it left millions dead, families torn apart, and a nation scared beyond recognition? Unity isn't built on the graves of the staff, the silence, and the broken. It's heartbreaking to think those who suffered children, mothers, entire community should accept this as some noble sacrifice. The pain of that war still echoes today, and your words feel like salt in those wounds. Hmm. True unity doesn't come from force or violence. It ends through justice, healing, and the respect for every Nigerian's life and voice. So, if these people truly want to make peace, this person is saying that how can he be claiming that he was uniting Nigeria by buying the Igbos? Do you know what happened during the civil war? Do you know how people died during the civil war? It is heartbreaking that people died, both pregnant women, unborn children, little children, the old ones, young ladies, young guys lost their life. Businessmen, their business crashed. People were traumatized. Guys, they really suffered that period. And then this person said, your words, like you coming out, you know that okay, you're supposed to apologize to the Igbos. You coming out to come and say that was the killing Igbos was the only option you had then to preserve Nigeria. It doesn't make sense. Your words are just, like salt in the wound. You know what that means when someone said that, your words feels like salt in those wounds. That if he truly wants unity, he should go and apologize to the Igbos, apologize to the Igbos and do what they want by saying they should go, because Igbos don't want one Nigeria again. When they wanted one Nigeria, they went and buy them. So they don't want to be part of Nigeria. As they have said, Igbos are not part of Nigeria because Gowon is saying that he buy the Igbos to unite Nigeria, meaning that he's saying that Igbos are not parts, yes, of Nigeria. They molested the Igbos. So they should allow the Igbos go. They don't want to allow the Igbos to go because of their resources. That's the only thing. Right from time, they have always been targeting the Igbos because of their resources. That was why they were killing them. They wanted their resources. The colonial masters, their aim was their resources. They collided with Gowon, to buy the Igbos so that they can access the resources. They went against the Aburi Accord so that they will not restore security, because they know that once there's security, they cannot access their resources. So they went against the Aburi Accord just for the resources in Igbo land. That was why they buyed, the Igbos. So Gowon should come out and, come and tell the world why he buy the Igbos. Waiting on, this person is saying, likewise, the claim in Plateau and Benue is to preserve Nigerian unity. So this person is saying, that Gowon said that the killing of Biafran was for unity. So this person is trying to say, okay, if killing Igbos was to unite Nigeria, then what is happening in Plateau and Benue is also to unite Nigeria. It's not for hatred, it's just to unite Nigeria. Since Gowon thinks that the Igbos are, senseless, they don't know what they are doing. He's coming out to tell the Igbos that the only why he killed them was because he wants to unite Nigeria. It doesn't make sense at all, because killing has nothing to do with unity. So once there's killing, there's violence, and then there's no peace. Yes, there's no peace. So now the other person is saying what is happening in your village is for unity, not that they hate your villagers. This person is saying that that even the Northerners, they are now fighting against the Fulanis, are now fighting the Northerners. Yes, they are now unleashing attack. People that they call brothers, that Northerners were saying that Fulani are their brothers. And now what is happening? These same Fulani people now are attacking the North. The Northerners are on the run. They have left their farm because of these Fulani guys. Now, this person is saying what is happening in your village is unity, and not that they hate your villagers. The same way he said that, it's not like he hates the Igbos, but he buy the Igbos because of unity. Let's see what the next person is saying. This one is saying, It's a lesson that when an agreement is reached, the agreement must be obeyed by all parties involved. It's also a lesson that when an advice is given, the advice should be taken, most especially the weaker side. It's also a lesson that nobody should start what he cannot finish. Yes, if Gowon knows that buying the Igbos is going to cause all these things in Nigeria, I'm telling you, he would have kept that agreement. He would not, if he knows the effects, if he could see the future as at then, honestly, trust me, he would have kept that, agreement. He would not go against it. Imagine if he did not go against that agreement. Imagine how far Nigeria would have gone. Imagine, in fact, Nigeria would even be better than UK. Because what do UK have? Let's compare what Nigeria as a country have and what UK have. Nigeria is blessed. It's a blessed soil. You know, they have a lot of things, but then greed and selfishness cannot make us cooperate. Greed and selfishness, because the Igbos have more thing. Greed and selfishness cannot allow us to be together. The Igbos, right from time, they have been fighting for one Nigeria right from time. They have always been saying they want peace. That is why Ojukwu attended that Aburi Accord. If the Igbos never wanted peace, Ojukwu will not attend that Aburi Accord. So anyone that is saying that IPOB is an unlawful organization, that person doesn't mean well for Nigeria. That person doesn't know what he's saying. Because right from time, what is the crime of the Igbos? What did these people do? You are the same person, you're the same people that have been killing them for no reason, because of their resources. You don't want them, you want to be using their resources, you want them to be as you want to treat them as slave, you want them to be under you. Why you're using their resources? You're buying them for no reason. What is the crime of the Igbos? You're buying them for no reason. You don't want them to get to power, and you want to use their resources. You don't want them to go because you want to use their resources. This is wickedness. Igbo has not committed any crime. People say Nigeria has an Igbo problem. What is the crime of the Igbos? What's their crime? What did they do? Igbos are innocent. IPOB is a love. The only thing that Ojukwu has been saying then, as at then, was for them to stop killing the Igbos. That was the only thing he was saying. He said, stop killing the Igbos. It's not like he wanted division. And after the Civil War, things worsened. And then he said that, the Igbos must have their own nation, must be on their own. Because even after their civil war, they couldn't even treat Igbos well. It is playing out today. How many Igbos will you see as ministers in Aso Rock? How many Igbos will you see as senators? They make sure that they don't put Igbos in power, and then they will not put competent leaders. If you ask an Igbo man now if he wants, or which tribe do you want to get to that seat, an Igbo man will tell you that anyone can be there as far as that person can lead Nigeria well. This is how peaceful Igbo people are. Igbo people don't want problems. They don't want killings. They don't want, all these things. They are peaceful people. Right from time, they have been fighting for one Nigeria. They have been contributing to one Nigeria to make everything work well. But because of greed and selfishness, envy and selfishness, they had to buy the Igbos. If Gowon did not go against the agreement, Nigeria would have been a better state by now. Nigeria would have been a better place. But because of he went against the agreement, that is why you see Nigeria today is haunted. And then Nigeria can never be better, or else they declare Biafran war, or else they declare or else they declare Biafra. Nigeria can never be better, or else Biafra comes to reality, or else they release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Biafra comes to reality. That is when Nigeria will be better. Because it is just showing that the Igbos did not do anything. And then their leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, did not to still do anything. You can see that, even an Indian lawyer has come out to say how the Igbos were molested, were killed during the civil war. How they were killed, and then they went ahead to arrest Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for no reason. Ever since that man has been there, they can't even prove. The Igbos are innocent. IPOB, they are innocent. Biafran, they have no crime. They have no case to answer. Mazi Kanu has no case to answer. I don't know why they will not allow the Igbos to go. You will not still treat them well. Something led to the other. Something made the Igbos to come and say they want to secede. They did not just come out to say something led to it because of they were politically marginalized. Because of that, in all areas, these people were molested, treated like slaves. Even after the agreement, the fact that Ojukwu was present in the Abure Accord shows that the Igbos wanted peace. After the Abure Accord, what happened? Who upturned? Gowon. And then that was how the Igbo, they started killing the Igbos. Just like that, people that agreed for peace. Is that what they agreed for? So what is the need? What is the use of, what is the importance of that Abure Accord? Why did they now go for the meeting? After the meeting, you came back to Nigeria, you went to do another thing. And you expect the Igbos to be smiling. Mazi Nnamdi said it. He said the persecution of the Igbos will stop with him. He said his life is not important. In fact, his life is useless if he cannot, treat his people rightly. His life, Igbos are being molested. It is high time that we come to say it in reality that the Igbos are being molested during the civil war, even after the civil war, and even now it's playing out. They don't want an Igbo man to get into power. They don't want. So, reading on what this person said, he said, it is a lesson that when an agreement is reached, the agreement must be obeyed by all parties involved. It's also a lesson that when an advice is given, the advice should be taken, most especially the weaker side. It's also a lesson that nobody should start what he cannot finish. Honestly, Ojukwu, I said Ojukwu, sorry guys, Gowon, if he had known, he would not have buyed the Igbos. Because now, who is crying? Who is crying now? He's saying that, or he's coming to to realize that Biafrans will come to reality because of the way things are going. That is why he's coming out to say that he did not hate the Igbos, that the civil war was for unity and not for hatred. Who is it? Who is in telling that ones buying 5 million people? So if he had known, he will not start what he cannot finish because he's the one that is going to cry at last. And shame to everyone that said Biafra will not come to reality. So we do said upon all this lesson, their warlords still went ahead, but thanks to gallant men of women of Nigeria, gallant men and women of Nigeria troop that took the bull by the horn and never spared them. When the bombardments became unbearable, the Oga took to heels and ran away. Let's look at what the next person is saying. The other person is saying. So this person is saying the carnage in Jos today is also for unity. What is happening in Jos today is for unity, since he claims that killing the Igbos was for unity. So the bombardments happening, or the terrorism happening, or the way Fulanis are buying people in Jos now is for unity. Now, the other person is saying, is Nigeria united when a particular tribe is not good enough to rule Nigeria? But their resources can be used by Nigeria. Is Nigeria united when a particular tribe, the Igbos, they are not good? You don't want them to get to power. You're trying everything within your power to make sure that the Igbos will not get to power, but you want to use their resources. This is pure wickedness. This is wickedness. The Igbos were truly molested. They don't want them to be active. They don't want them to take active part in government. They don't want them to be politicians. They don't want them to be senators. They don't want them to be anything in the government. And then you want to use their resources. This is wickedness. Looking at what the next person is saying. You go explain Taya. Can someone tell him to go to his hometown and unite with the Fulanis? The other person is saying, this one, everyone is confessing Biafra. This one, everyone is confessing. Biafra is coming. Yes, this one is coming. I think he's fighting with guilty conscience and is realizing that Biafra is coming to reality. The next person is saying is, that act is still haunting him. Yes, the fact that he buy the Igbos for nothing after after the meeting, after the peaceful meeting, the fact that he by the Igbos, that act is still haunting him. The 5 million people, the war he caused, is still haunting Gowon till now. Guilty conscience, he's battling with guilty conscience. That is why he's coming out now. So that act is still haunting him till now. No peace for the wicked. Some days coming, una go confess say Peter Obi actually won that 2023 presidential election as just Babangida did. So this person is trying to say that Babangida actually won the election. There was a time that Gowon came out to confess. That's to tell you that this Nigerian government, in fact, the problem of Nigeria, the problem of Nigeria is coming from Gowon too. Yes, the problem of Nigeria is coming from Gowon. If he kept that agreement, Nigeria would have been better than UK. And then, if Babangida was actually the president of Nigeria, if they did not rig the election, Nigeria would have been better. Who knows? Who knows? They rigged the fact. The problem of Nigeria started with Gowon. What Gowon did to Nigeria. That is where the problem started from. Now let's see what people are saying about this. So honestly, this person is saying till now Nigeria is in civil war. The number of people buy every day in Nigeria now more than civil war. Now the number of people that buy every day, or get people that are killed every day by these Fulani people, Fulani terrorists. You can see that the number is even more than what happened in the civil war. Yes, Nigeria can never get better if they declare Biafra, until they declare Biafra. Nnamdi Kanu is the only peace, is the only option Nigeria has now. Nnamdi Kanu is the only option they have now. And what Nigerian government needs to do, just like Showore said if he becomes the president of Nigeria today, he has said it in many of his interviews, that first of all, he will go down to East and beg them, plead on Gowon's behalf to forgive, for them to forgive Nigerian government, because truly the Igbos were molested. The Igbos were dealt with. That was the first thing Showore said he would do. You ask them what they want and give them what they want. That is it. That is what he says he's going to do. So the Nigerian government is supposed to beg the Igbos to forgive and treat them right. Stop giving them they don't have the same opportunities with other tribes. Igbos are treated like slaves. Even in their own land, they use their resources. So you see what is happening now. Igbos really passed through a lot. They really passed through a lot, even after the Civil War, even after the Aburi Accord. After the Civil War, they were not still given equal opportunities or equal rights. The Hausas were seen like God, or the Fulani were seen as God. That is why Gowon is coming to tell us that buying the Igbos was the only option to unite Nigeria. That means Igbos were not even parts. Igbos were not parts, or the Igbos are not part of Nigeria. That is what Gowon is trying to tell us. So now, what happened after the Civil War? Even up to today, Igbos are not being treated rightly. What happened? Now, devastation and infrastructure of loss. The Igbo land was ravaged, with schools, hospital, and health center destroyed. Imagine students in their schools, they bombed them together with the school building, hospital, sick people in their sick bed, both dying people were bombed because of this incident, this scene, and health centers were destroyed. And living conditions were appalling, particularly in rural area. Igbos experienced economic hardship. The war caused significant damage to trade and agriculture, leading to economic hardship for many Igbos. Many Igbos suffered economic hardship. Now, political marginalization. Some Igbo people felt they were marginalized by the Nigerian government with law and policies that they were perceived as discriminatory. Yes, they did not allow them to play any part in government, to be ministers, to be senators. Never. They did not allow them. Now, reclaiming abandoned properties, efforts were made to return abandoned properties to their rightful Igbo owners, but these efforts were inconsistent and often met with resistance, leading to a mixed legacy of justice and injustice. Rich men, Igbo rich men then, that had a lot of money, to claim their property was a problem after the Civil War. They were really, the Hausas took their property, they couldn't give it back to their rightful owners, which are the Igbos. And then, if you check, even after everything that Nigerian government has been doing to the Igbos, even before the civil war and after the civil war, who is more successful? Which tribe is more successful today? They are the Igbos. The Igbos are that tribe. I know that they are more successful in everything they are doing. Yes, even after what Nigerian government are doing to them to make sure that they don't succeed in life. But today they are successful. Nobody helped them. Even after the civil war, they passed through many things: political marginalization. They passed through, reclaiming of abandoned property, economic hardship. It was hard for them to start up their life again. After losing their loved ones, they don't have anything. They were like, slaves in their own land. But look at today. Who is doing more well? What is that tribe that is doing more well? They are the Igbos. If you go, if you see any northern man based in Nigeria, if these northerners come to the east to base, none of them, you see them with or can rent house. That small kiosks they used to sell things, that is where they sleep, that is where they cook, that is where they do everything. You know, that's to tell you how northerners they're not successful even in the east. But when the Igbos go to their own states, you see how many lands they owe, how many houses they have built, how many houses they have owned, how many car they owe. But when you see the northerners come to the east, they don't have shishi. They cannot be productive. So that's to tell you that Igbo people are really doing well, even after what the Nigerian government did to them after the civil war, even still doing to them. So now that Gowon has come out to say this thing, many Nigerians lambasted him, saying that he's like guilty, he's battling with guilty conscience, that he should stop beating around the bush. He should come out and tell Nigerians the reason why he killed the Igbos, because this is not a good reason. You cannot be killing the Igbos and be uniting Nigeria. It is never possible. It's not possible. It doesn't even sound rightly. What does unity have to do with killing? No. What does unity have to do with wasting of blood? No. What does unity have to do with unaliving people? It is never possible. You say it's a war. If it's a war, you are meant to attack military, not attacking civilians, children. So, guys, I just pray that, in fact, for him to come out to say this, that means, the battle Nnamdi Kanu has already won the battle. Biafrans has already won. For him to come out to say this thing, Biafrans has already won. It's like he's now realizing that Biafra will come to reality. And it was going to be to his shame, if Biafra comes to reality. So you are waiting on the Kanu's continuation, the trial continuation, which is on the 13th of June. Guys, don't miss that update. I'll still come and update you guys on his latest court section. So guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me in this live section. Thank you guys for joining me, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more updates. Also put down a comment below, let me know what you're saying, and like and share this video. Thank you for watching.